Hello, I am Dr. G. Lavanya, THWR Law and PG Center at Chaitanyapuri, Hyderabad. So, I am a counselor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, BSc first year. So, dear students, BSc first year theme of topic is descriptive statistics and probability. So, what does mean descriptive statistics? We know the statistics in intermediate level, mean, median, mode, etc. binomial distribution, like that. So, it is a mathematical part. By that level we know it is a mathematic. So, as statistics, it is a branch of mathematics, but it can't analyze only mathematical. It can be analyze natural and social phenomenon, means all living beings and non-living being also. So, as the subject came as descriptive statistics. The main origin of statistics is what? Already you know that the definition of the statistics is simple collection data and analysis and inference about the data. So, here how to analyze, how to estimate the future aspects, what type of data is required to analyze. So, that is why we can use sources of data. As we discussed primary data and the methods of primary data, and now we are going to discuss secondary data. Sources of secondary data and definitions, precautions in the use of secondary data. Sources of secondary data. The main two important sources of secondary data are published sources, unpublished sources. What does mean secondary data? Secondary means already existing data, existing data. The raw data is converted as a primary and it can be recorded, already existed. That is why we call it is a secondary data. Secondary data sources can be broadly classified into two categories, that is published sources, unpublished sources. Published sources. What are the published sources? What are unpublished sources? Published sources means journal, newspaper, like that. Unpublished means which is confidential, that is unpublished sources. The governmental, international and local agencies publish statistical data. Source of international publications like IMF, IBRD, ICAFE and UNO, these are international publication sources to get the information. Next, official publication of central and state governments. Several departments of the central and the state governments regularly published reports on a number of subjects. So, these are Reserve Bank of India, like CSO, Central Statistical Organization, NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, etc. Here, what does mean primary data and what does mean secondary data is very important. Already existing data we are collecting, ante already వేరే వాళ్ళు కలెక్ట్ చేసిన ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ని మనం దత్తాంశాన్ని సేకరించి అనాలిసిస్ చేసే దాన్ని మనం సెకండరీ డేటా అని అంటారు. అందులో థర్డ్ వన్ సెమీ అఫీషియల్ పబ్లికేషన్స్. సెమీ గవర్నమెంట్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ లైక్ మున్సిపల్ కార్పొరేషన్, డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ బోర్డ్స్, పంచాయత్స్ publish reports relating to socio-economic data. Why we need this semi-official publication? This is our day-to-day life. For example, municipal, why we go to the municipalities? Even 2 days, if any cleaning persons are not come to our area, immediately we get report to the municipal corporation, because area should be neat and clean. That is the major important we can. That is why the one can respond about this. So, that is semi-official publications. They will each and every time they can analyze the aspects. They can run their municipalities with efficient personalities. From that we can get the information. Next one is publications of research institutions. Research plays very important role in statistical theory. Present scenario, as we are suffered for COVID case. So, one can have a doubt why this disease is spread into India, what is the sources of this, how can we remove this disease, all these questions place in our mind. So, research plays very important role certain cases, that is, for example, Indian Statistical Institute, this is Central Statistical Organization, National Sample Survey Organization, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, Indian Agriculture Statistics, Research Institute, IASRI, etc. publish data regarding various phenomena and also present the findings in their research projects. All these institutions will give us reliable information. Why? Because already data collected for experienced and skilled persons, then they can record the certain information and they can collect, they can analyze, they can give the information to the certain institutes. For that we can get the information and we can find the solutions of certain problems. That may be any health problems, for example, constructions. If a building is constructed, immediately it broken, one can say there is some inefficiency, unskilled persons are there. So, that we can also find out by we get the records. Journals and newspapers. Journals and newspapers are very important and powerful sources of secondary data. You know, the statistics use all areas. For example, if you go the medicine, they can use the statistics also. They can publish in newspapers certain disease. For example, why the COVID is impact in 2019. Further, how we have to be taken care from this disease. These are published in newspapers. So, with the help of journals only one can get the information certain diseases. Or if you take education, day to day research is extremely increasing because technology also increasing and generations also one can learn the many things. So, that is why if one can see the journal, one can see the newspaper, they can analyze and they can also habituate to learn, they can also habituate to finding the new things by using the journals and newspapers. So, current and important material on statistics and socio-economic problems can be obtained from journals and newspapers like Economic Timers, Commerce, Capital Union, Finance, Monthly, Statistics, Trades, etc. Look this picture for the secondary data, that is diaries. Why diaries is required? What is the main aim of statistics is what? We can collect the data. Why data is required? Because we can analyze, we can do the survey, that is why data is required. So, while we getting the raw data, how can we identify what method is required, which is primary or secondary? Based on our findings, it is required primary and secondary. So, first we can collect the data, then we can arrange it as a primary records, then it is converted as a secondary data, that is government of India. So, next one is organizational declarations and next one is official documents and next one is statistical records, scholarly article on databases, next books, next peer reviewed journals, next magazines and next libraries. For example, here first we can start from the diaries, that data is converted into government data. And government data, what does mean government data? For example, population of a country, population of a state, income records and expenditure records, all these are government data. And next one is organizational declarations. So that is whatever we collected that can be converted as a organization basis. Then these documents are converted the official documents. Next, these data converted statistical records. Next, scholarly article and databases. Next, it convert books. Next, peer reviewed journal. Next, it is converted in magazines. Next, it go to library. For example, if you take the COVID case, 2019 it was spread in India more. Before that it is spread in China. So everyone think China only done invented, released this COVID, that type of noises we listen. So till we don't know where this COVID came. So next one is, for that government data, how can it recorded? How many COVID cases takes place in India? How many members were died? How many were cured? What the age is highly affected, means old or youngsters. So we came to know children are not affected COVID cases as per the statistics as of now. So next one is what? Organizational declarations. Once the data is collected and it can be sent to the organization. Next, this data is framed as a official documents, and these document is analyzed by the skilled, experienced statistics persons. Then it is framed as a journal and article. Different persons, different research persons wrote different their opinions on the COVID cases. Finally, one can given a solution, we can take any vaccine, we can get rid of this disease, like that. Next, when it can be turned into books. So when data is analyzed and framed, one can review and it can be perfectly success, then it can be published as a books. And these books can be read by the people who are located at peer reviewed journal articles. Means these articles can be sent to the magazines, and these magazines are sent to the libraries. Means in this library what we get the information? Only COVID information as a different journals, like that. So we can get information present and future also from the libraries about this disease, like that. Not only disease, for example, if you want to find out the educational purpose, what is the trend of the education now? Nowadays, earlier when I was small, only engineering, medicine are major parts. Now you see interior decoration is also very important. Means people want to live, that is the main aim. That is why one can learn, they can reach their goal. Only medicine, only engineer is not sufficient for the present scenario. That is why one can get the information about generation wise, they can lead their life. So like that. So all these, how we can know that information? By already existing information, already someone collected, or that can be presented in journals, newspapers, then it is elaborate to each and every one. So next one is, so all these, the see this picture, the collection of secondary data, websites. Through the websites, internal data and external data is also there. Internal data means, for example, if you go for the company sales, only internal matter. according to their sales, their invoice and their accounts. External data means, as now explained regarding COVID cases, means research, that is external. If a person want to do PhD, he can run out the libraries, he can run out the journals, he can run out according to his problem to all past records, then he can get solution about his problem. So, these are the external records of the secondary data. So, next one is unpublished resource. As of now, I explained published sources. Now, unpublished sources. Unpublished sources means which is a confidential, which can be takes place at government sectors as private also. So, for example, university libraries, we can gather the data from these for the numerous research process by the researchers. For example, a socio-economic person want to do his research, he may use the statistics. Why he can use the statistics? According to his work, he can get the information, he can quantify the data, he can place all that data into his computer system and he can search for the methods, minimum methods, measures of central tendency, correlation, these are only required. But a non-mathematician student does not know about mean and median and correlation. So, they can come the statistics students, statistics experts, they can ask their problem, then they can easily get the information. So, where they will get the information according to their research for the libraries and journals. So, these are the unpublished sources. Next, precautions in the use of secondary data. Since secondary data have already been obtained, it is highly desirable that a proper scrutiny of such data is made before they are used by the investigator. Already collected information we call the secondary data. What is that? For example, market research. Market research is also secondary data. Government sector, industrial sector, these are secondary data. And what type of precautions to be taken to collect the secondary data? That is a very important. In this context, one of the scientists well known, BRAOU is pointed out about the secondary data is secondary data should not be accepted at their face value because it may be biased, inadequate sample size, substitution errors, arithmetical errors, etc. Even if there is no error, such data may not be suitable to achieve the objective of the researcher. So, next one is the suitability of data. The investigator must satisfy himself the data available are suitable to achieve formulated research objective. First, the investigator must be skilled and he have a confident about what data he are collecting. That's why we can say investigator must satisfy himself the data available are suitable to achieve formulated research objectives. For example, if you take COVID cases, I want to know the Nalgonda district, I can take a Nalgonda district, this is my place of working. In the Nalgonda district, how many people were affected COVID case? This is one problem. How can you know about this record? First, we have to go the municipality, how many people are living in Nalgonda and what type of ages are there, how many areas are there, how many hospitals are there, how many are affected or how many are affected and cured. All these want to collect a investigator. If the investigator have an idea about that such data, అంటే investigator కి ఆ డేటాని ఎలా కలెక్ట్ చేయాలి అనేది అతనికి తెలియాలి, అప్పుడే అతను ఆ కేసెస్ గురించి కలెక్ట్ చేయగలడు. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, అతను ఒక హాస్పిటల్కి వెళ్ళాడు, ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయింది కోవిడ్ అనేది నుంచి మనం మొదలు పెడితే అది ఎంతవరకు ఉన్నది అనే వరకు అతను రీసెర్చ్ చేయవచ్చు. మనకందరికీ తెలుసు 2019 నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అయింది అని. ఇప్పటికీ ఉందా అనేది కూడా మనం రీసెర్చ్ చేయాలి. అది అనేది సెకండరీ డేటా నుంచే మనకి తెలుస్తుంది. ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది? 19 నుంచి 2021 వరకు ఇట్ ఈస్ ర్యాపిడ్లీ స్ప్రెడ్ అవుట్ ద డిసీజ్ in all areas. After 22 then it is a less, means it is cured. Why it is cured? People taken as precautions and vaccines, and one can learn journals, newspapers, and they can mainly they are taken the precautions. So that's so means here ఎప్పుడైతే డేటా కలెక్ట్ చేసేటప్పుడు అతనికి ఏం డేటా కలెక్ట్ చేస్తున్న దాని మీద అవగాహన ఉండాలి. అప్పుడే అతను కరెక్ట్గా డేటాని కలెక్ట్ చేయగలరు. దానికి క్వశ్చనర్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేయగలరు. ఎటువంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేయగలము? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నేను కోవిడ్ గురించే మాట్లాడుతున్నాను, ఎందుకంటే దట్ ఈజ్ మేజర్ లాస్ ఆఫ్ అవర్ ప్రజెంట్ సినారియో. బికాస్ ఎకనామీ డౌన్, గెట్టింగ్ డౌన్, అండ్ పీపుల్ ఇప్పటికీ కూడా చాలామంది ఆ డిసీజ్ నుంచి కోలుకోలేదు. ఆ నష్టాన్ని కూడా ఇంతవరకు మనము నాకు తెలిసి పూరించుకోలేదు. ఫ్యామిలీసే కానీ, గవర్నమెంటే కానీ, ఏదైనా కానీ. ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ర్యాపిడ్లీ డిక్రీజ్డ్. ఎందుకు డిక్రీజ్ అయింది కోవిడ్ వల్ల అంటే స్కూల్స్ నాట్ ఓపెన్, ఎగ్జామ్స్ ఆల్సో నాట్ కండక్టెడ్, ఓన్లీ పాస్ట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ దే ఆర్ పాస్ట్, మీన్స్ ద స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ గెట్ ద knowledge about their subjects and they passed out. So these are the drawbacks. How can we get this information? Already collected. So that is. So here the next one is adequacy of data. If the data are suitable for the purpose of investigation, then we must judge whether data can provide adequate information to the present study. మనం డాటా కలెక్ట్ చేసేటప్పుడు మన ఇష్టం ఉన్నట్టు క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేసి కలెక్ట్ చేయకూడదు. ఎంతవరకు ఆ డాటా రిలేటెడ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అవసరమో అంతవరకే క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫ్రేమ్ చేయాలి. అప్పుడే మనకు సూటబుల్, రియలబుల్, అడిక్వసీ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అనేది వస్తుంది. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్ రియలబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ ది డేటా. ద రియలబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ డేటా డిపెండ్స్ అపాన్ ద వేరియస్ మెథడ్స్ అండ్ వేరియస్ మెజర్మెంట్స్ అడాప్టెడ్ బై ఆర్గనైజేషన్ ఫర్ డేటా కలెక్షన్. So reliable means what is non-reliable? For example, reliability data means, presently I am talking about the COVID case. If a person died by the age of 99, can you assure he affected only COVID he died? No, because according to his natural death. You can't say COVID affected by him. When you say it is only affected by COVID, then how can you say కోవిడ్ వచ్చింది అని తెలవడానికి మనకి సిమ్టమ్స్ ఏంటి? ఎక్కువ సర్ది రావడము, దగ్గు రావడము, ఇవన్నీ కనుక ఆ పర్సన్లో కనుక ఉంటే ఆ డేటా కనుక సేకరిస్తే అతను మరణించింది ఈ కోవిడ్ వల్లనే అని చెప్పగలం, లేదా నార్మల్ డెత్ సంభవించిందని చెప్పగలం. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ data reliable only one can give the inference about the situation. So that is reliability ki example. Next one is, once data have been obtained, the next step in statistical investigation is edit the data. The chief objective of editing is detect possible errors and irregularities. Data already collected. After the collection, editing is very, very important. Editing means what? We prepared so many questions. Our questions are relating to particular topic or not, that is our editing. Means topic is one and asking question is one. Then how can you edit? For example, I want to go to hospital. Can I ask, what are you studying? It is not correct, because hospital will give the only disease the records. Only we can ask casually, ఏ తరగతి చదువుతున్నావని పేషెంట్ని రికవరీ చేయడానికే అడుగుతాము, కానీ అతని తరగతితోటి ఆ డిసీజ్కి సంబంధం లేదు. సో ఇటువంటివి మనం ఎడిటింగ్లో చేస్తాం. ఇటువంటి ఇర్రెగ్యులారిటీ ఉన్నప్పుడు మనం వీటిని డిలీట్ చేసేసి యాక్చువల్ డేటాని మాత్రమే మనము ఉపయోగించుకుంటాము. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్, ద టాస్క్ ఆఫ్ ఎడిటింగ్ ఈజ్ ఏ highly specialized one and requires great care and attention While editing data, the following consideration should be borne in mind. So, these are the 4 main data collected. One is data should be complete in every respect, data should be accurate, data should be consistent, data should be homogeneous. What is this? Data is accurate means what? ఖచ్చితమైన డాటాని మాత్రమే సేకరించాలి. ఏదైనా కానివ్వండి, అది లివింగ్ బీయింగ్ అయినా కానివ్వండి, నాన్ లివింగ్ బీయింగ్, దాని యొక్క ఏరియా, దాని యొక్క సర్క్యూమ్స్టాన్సెస్, అది ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయింది, ఎప్పుడు ఎండ్ అయింది, ఎప్పుడు బ్రేక్ అయింది అనేది కూడా మనం తెలుసుకోవాలి. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్ డాటా షుడ్ బి కన్సిస్టెన్స్. ఇంతకుముందే చెప్పాను ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటి, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక స్టూడెంట్ని ఒక క్వశ్చన్ అడిగాం, వాట్ ఈజ్ యువర్ ఏజ్, ఆర్ యూ స్టూడెంట్ అని అడుగుతాం అనుకో, అతను నో అని చెప్పాడు. సెకండ్ క్వశ్చన్ ఏముంది, మీరు ఏ తరగతి చదువుతున్నారు అని అడుగుతాం, అతను 10th స్టూడెంట్ని కానని అక్కడ చెప్పాడు, ఇక్కడ 10th అని చెప్తున్నాడు. అంటే ఏంటి, ఈ 2 క్వశ్చన్లో కన్సిస్టెన్సీ అనేది లేదు, కాంట్రడిక్షన్ అనేది ఉంది. సో మనం ఎడిటింగ్ చేసేటప్పుడు మనం పొందుపరిచిన క్వశ్చన్స్లలో ప్రతి క్వశ్చన్కి సెకండ్ క్వశ్చన్కి రిలేటెడ్గా ఆన్సర్స్ ఉన్నాయా లేదా డమ్మీగా పెట్టారా అనేది కూడా మనం చూసుకోవాలి. దట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ కన్సిస్టెంట్. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఈస్ డేటా షుడ్ బి హోమోజీనియస్. హోమోజీనియస్ మీన్స్ సేమ్, సమానంగా ఉండాలి, ఏదైనా ఈక్వల్ ఇంపార్టెన్స్ అనేది ఉండాలి. దట్ ఈస్ ద హోమోజీనియస్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఐ వాంట్ టు నో అబౌట్ ద యాన్యువల్ ఇన్కమ్ ఆఫ్ సర్టెన్ ఏరియా. సో the data collected weekly, daily and monthly, it is not reliable because నాకు ఏంటి యాన్యువల్ ఇన్కమే కావాలి. అతను యాన్యువల్గా ఎంత వచ్చింది తీసుకుంటేనే ఈ డేటాకి కరెక్ట్ చెప్తాం. కొందరు ఒక 10 మంది యాన్యువల్ ఇచ్చి, ఒక 10 మంది వీక్లీ ఇచ్చి, ఒక 10 మంది మంత్లీ ఇస్తే ఆ డేటా అనేది అనాలసిస్ చేయడానికి సరిపోదు. సో దట్స్ వై డేటా షుడ్ బి homogeneous. So all these are major steps when we collect the information about the data. So that's why statistics plays very important role in this data collection methods. First, data that already I explained as a primary data. Primary data is face to face we can collect, and from this comparatively primary data and secondary data, primary data is more accurate and it can take more time and it is more expensive, and compared to secondary data which is less expensive and it is also less reliable and is also less expensive. But the major importance is wherever the data is required, wherever the which method is required, that is only we can use. That is the important. That is maybe primary and that is maybe secondary. So that is the data collection methods in the statistics.